SCP-049. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-049 is contained within a standard secure humanoid containment cell in Research Sector 02 at Site-19. SCP-049 must be sedated before any attempts to transport it. During transport, SCP-049 must be secured within a Class 3 humanoid restriction harness, including a locking collar and extension restraints, and monitored by no fewer than 2 armed guards. While SCP-049 is generally cooperative with most Foundation personnel, outbursts and sudden changes in behavior are to be met with levelated force. Under no circumstance should any personnel come into direct contact with SCP-049 during these outbursts. In the event SCP-049 becomes aggressive, the application of lavender L-multifide has been shown to produce a calming effect on the entity. Once calmed, SCP-049 generally becomes compliant and will return to containment with little resistance. In order to facilitate the ongoing containment of SCP-049, the entity is to be provided with 2 corpses of a recently deceased human or animal, typically a bovine or other large mammal. Once every 2 weeks for study, corpses that become instances of SCP-049-2 are to be removed from SCP-049's containment cell and incinerated. SCP-049 is no longer permitted to interact with human subjects, and request human subjects are to be denied. Temporary Containment Procedure Update. See Addendum 049.3. Per Containment Committee S Order 049.S19.17.1, SCP-049 is no longer permitted to interact directly with any members of the Foundation staff, nor is it to be provided with any additional corpses to be used in its surgeries. This order shall persist indefinitely until such time a consensus regarding the ongoing containment of SCP-049 can be reached. Description: SCP-049 is a humanoid entity roughly 1.9 meters in height, about 6 feet, which bears the appearance of a medieval Plaque Doctor, while SCP-049 appears to be wearing a thick robes and ceramic mask. Indicative of that profession. The garments instead seem to have grown out of SCP-049's body over time and are nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, SCP-049 does have a humanoid skeleton structure beneath the outer layer. SCP-049 is capable of speech in a variety of languages. Throughout, it tends to prefer English or medieval French. While SCP-049 is generally cooperative and cooperative with the Foundation staff, it can become especially irritated or at times outright aggressive if it feels that it is in the presence of what it calls the pestilence. Although the exact nature of this pestilence is currently unknown, the Foundation researchers, it does seem to be an issue of the immense concern of SCP-049. SCP-049 will become hostile with individuals it sees as being affected by the pestilence, often having to be restrained should it encounter such. If left unchecked, SCP-049 will generally attempt to kill any such individual. SCP-049 is capable of causing all biological functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact. How this occurs is currently unknown, and autopsies of SCP-049's victims have invariably been inconclusive. SCP-049 has expressed frustration or remorse after killing these, indicating that they have done little to kill the pestilence, though will usually seek to perform a crude surgery on the corpse using the implement contained within a Plaque Doctor's bag it carries in its personnel at all times. While these surgeries are not always successful, they often result in the creation of instances of SCP-049-2. SCP-049-2 instances are reanimated corpses that have been operated on by SCP-049. These instances do not seem to retain any of the prior memories or mental functions, having only basic motor skills and response mechanisms. While these instances are generally inactive, moving very little, and in generally ambulatory fashion, they can become extremely aggressive if provoked or if directed to be SCP-049. SCP-049-2 instances express active biological functions. These are vastly different from currently understood human psychology. Despite these alterations, SCP-049 often remarks that the subject has been cured. Addendum 049.1 Discovered. SCP-049 was discovered during the investigation of a series of unknown disappearances in the town of Montauban in southern France. During the raid in the local home, investigators found several instances of SCP-049-2, as well as SCP-049. While law enforcement personnel engaged in the hostile 049-2 instances, SCP-049 was noted to be watching the engagement and taking notes in the journal. After all of the 049-2 instances were dispatched, SCP-049 willingly entered the Foundation's custody. The following interview was conducted by Dr. Raymond Ham during the initial investigation.
Alors, comment devrions-nous commencer une introduction?
Is that French? Can we get a translator?
The King's English. No need for translation, sir. I can speak it well enough.
Good. My name is Dr. Raymond Ham, and I...
Ah, a doctor. A like-minded individual, no doubt. Wherein is your speciality, sir?
Cryptobiology. Why?
A medical man, such as myself. Wonders abound. And here, I worried I had been abducted by common street thugs. This place, then, this is your laboratory. I had wondered, as clean as it is, and with such little trace of the pestilence here.
The pestilence? What do you mean?
The scourge. The great dying. Come now, you know what is it they call it? No matter. The pestilence, yes. It abounds outside these walls, you know. So many have succumbed, and many more will continue to, until such time as a perfect cure can be developed. Fortunately, I am very close. It is my duty in life to rid the world of it, you see. The cure to end all cures.
When you say the great dying, are you talking about the bubonic plague?
I don't know what that is.
I see. Right, well, the entities our agents encountered at the house, they were dead when you encountered them, yes? You reanimated them.
In a manner of speaking, you see things too simply, Doctor. Expand your horizons. Life and death, sickness and health. These are amateur terms for amateur physicians. There is only one ailment that exists in the world of men, and that is the pestilence, and nothing else. Make no mistake, they were very ill. All of them.
You think you cured those people?
Indeed. My cure is most effective.
But the things we recovered were not human.
Yes, well, it is not a perfect cure, but that will come with time, and further experimentation. I have spent a lifetime developing my methods, Dr. Ham, and will spend a lifetime more, if necessary. Now, we have wasted too much time. There is work to do. I will require a laboratory of my own, one where I can continue my research unimpeded. And assistance, of course, though I can provide those on my own. In time.
Oh, I don't think our organization would be willing to...
Nonsense. We are all men of science. Fetch your coat and show me to my quarters, Doctor. Our work begins now.
To viewers, note, while SCP-049 is capable of communication in a very human way, there is a strange sense of unease when one experiences in its presence. Make no mistake, there is something very uncanny with the entity indeed. Additionally, we've confiscated the point stick that SCP-049 keeps waving around. Part of this was due to the standard confiscation protocols of the possession of the anomalies, in part because the 049 really is a menace swinging it around like he does. The entity was displeased at first, but after we made some concessions in providing with test subjects, which are admittedly more of the benefit for our own research, it warmed up to the idea. Addendum 049.2 Observation Log. While in containment at Site-19, SCP-049 has spent a considerable amount of time studying and performing surgeries on the various mammalian corpses that have been provided. SCP-049 will routinely spend days performing surgery, and then, regardless of whether or not the corpse becomes an instance of SCP-049-2, spend several more days documenting its findings in a thick leather journal stored within its doctor's bag. SCP-049 will often seek it to share its findings with members of the Foundation staff. Following the log of several occasions during which SCP-049 was observed operating on a mammalian corpse. Observation Log 049.0L.1. Summary. Subject SCP-049. Preface. Test Subject D85123 was introduced into SCP-049's containment cell. The entity expressed sincere gratitude towards all members of the containment and research staff. Observation Notes. SCP-049 began by asking D85123 several standard medical questions as it began removing tools from its bags. Shortly after finishing its preparations, SCP-049 quickly closed the distance between the two, killing subject with touch to its throat. Afterwards, SCP-049 was made a number of considerable alterations to the basic structure of the subject's corpse, often introducing fluids from within its bags into the subjects by the hand-powered pump and copper tubing. The resulting SCP-02 instance became animated, flailing and grasping at the walls for the chamber, a number of manufactured limbs, the remoting of an oblong orifice now present in its sternum. During this time, SCP-049 was observed taking notes of the incident in its journal and remarking that watching research staff about the efficiency of its cure. Security personnel entered the chamber to move SCP-049 back to its containment and were attacked by the instance. The security team dispatched the 049-2 instance, and SCP-049 returned to the containment with no resistance, stating that it was pleased with the results. Observation Log OL2 Summary. SCP-049. Preface. SCP-049 was provided with a corpse recently deceased goat. SCP-049 expressed gratitude at the provisions. Observation Note. SCP-049 operated on the goat corpse for several days, eventually resulting in the instance of SCP-049-2. SCP-049 expressed pleasure in its outcome, though admitted the disease was still in its nascent stage. My veterinarian practice is rudimentary, but the patient responded well to the procedure. Observation 3 Summary. SCP-049. Preface. SCP-049 was provided the corpse of recently deceased orangutan. SCP-049 expressed noted gratitude at the provision due to the similarities between the orangutan and the common human physiology. Observation Notes. SCP-049 spent several days operating on the orangutan, reanimating it several times. However, SCP-049 appears to be discontinued with the results it experienced, returning to the creature 3 times after its initial reanimation for additional work. After it is unable to reanimate the corpse for a 5th time, SCP-049 returns the corpse over to the Foundation staff for incineration, stating, "I have learned so much from this, though I fear my early optimism was displaced. I haven't yet come across such a stumbling block in my road for the cure. More subjects like this would do a great deal in advancing my research." Observation Log 7 Full. Subject SCP-049. Preface. SCP-049 was provided with the corpse of a recently deceased Bovian. SCP-049 expressed mild annoyance at the provision, though accepted it nonetheless. Observations Note. SCP-049 spent several days operating on the bovine corpse, breaking only and dying on a requested dinner and then crackers, salted pork, and hard cheese. Beginning first by embalming the corpse, SCP-049 was observed producing a large number of large syringes from its bag, which containing a different dark, viscous fluid. SCP-049 described these fluids are as essence of the humors, elaborated by saying the pestilence may bring about a systematic imbalance in such a case before true healing can begin. One must find the humors in balance or the body will reject the cure. Over the next few days, SCP-049 spent a considerable amount of time adjusting the organs of the bovine corpse with a number of large metal instruments. After 8 days of SCP-049 produced a lightning rod, which Dr. Ham exchanged for an electric cattle prod attached to an extension cord, and stuck the corpse in several locations. These actions seemingly had the effect of reanimating the bovine, which once again became ambulatory, despite the inversions of the head and reorientation of its limbs. Follow-up interview.
We've watched you work for several weeks now, and honestly, I'm not sure I understand what you're doing. Could you describe your process in detail?
Oh, goodness no. The process is most intensive. As I said to your assistant, the best instruction you will find about my methods are here in my journals, as I have kept exhaustive records of my work there.
Oh, I see. Well, my concern, Doctor, is that we still don't understand what you're seeking to cure, or how it manifests, or how turning these creatures into quasi-living, mindless drones helps in that effort.
You do not understand the pestilence, even after all this time. Doctor, it is an unspeakable horror, one that has shown its true face many times before, and will again. I find myself blessed with the wisdom and good senses needed to root it out and destroy it. But many, like yourself, cannot. It is a cruel judgment, I fear, to be at the mercy of a disease you cannot fully comprehend.
That still doesn't answer my question. How's your cure any kind of cure at all?
It is a cure. You may laugh at my efforts if you please, but do not besmirch the good name of scientific progress that has developed this great mercy. What you short-sightedly see here is a life better than any this creature could have hoped for. Stricken as it was with the pestilence, this creature is now clean, unable to spread the pestilence, and free from the terror it would have experienced otherwise.
This is hardly a creature at all, Doctor. It's not even...
Do not jape with me, sir. You and your colleagues are like so many others, unable to look past minor setbacks to see the salvation taking place before your very eyes. Do you wait to remove rotten timbers until the whole collapses on top of you? No. You find them and you pull them out and replace them with those untouched by rot. And most of all, you do not simply mock the structure because it now looks different to you. It is strong. It is free of disease.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to agitate you. I'm just trying to understand.
Yes. Well, do mind your words in the future, Doctor. I am a professional, but even professionals may feel the bite of pride in dealing with criticism of their masterpiece. I will forgive this as an act of good faith between colleagues.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, that will be all. Another test subject on the usual schedule. You know my preference of subjects with more human anatomies.
Sending researcher's notes. SCP-049 does seem to be genuinely want to help other humans, though it has not yet been able to provide a concrete example of what exactly it's trying to save us all from. I've watched now over several weeks, and while the outcomes do not seem to ever change, SCP-049 continues to claim that it has grown closer to the perfect cure. I think the entity may be more aware of the reality of those outcomes than it would like us to think. Addendum 3. 04/16/2017. Incident. Starting shortly after SCP-049's initial containment, Dr. Ham conducted a number of interviews with the subject regarding its anomalous properties, and over time began to note its displeasure with its subjects in the SCP-049-2 instances. This continued for a period of several months, during which SCP-049 never exhibited any aggressive behaviors. On April 16, 2017, as Dr. Ham was entering SCP-049's test chamber to conduct another routine interview, the entity began to grow anxious and asked Dr. Ham if he was feeling well. Following protocol, Dr. Ham reminded SCP-049 that the interview was required, after which the entity became hostile and attacked Dr. Ham, killing him. Due to a lapse in security protocol, and because Dr. Ham did not activate the in-chamber security system, Dr. Ham's corpse was not discovered until 3 hours later, by which point SCP-049 had converted to an instance of SCP-049. In the aftermath of this instance, SCP-049 was interviewed by Dr. Thorne Sherman.
I need you to explain yourself. SCP-049, you are being directed to explain your actions, and I will remind you that failure to cooperate will result in further restrictions during your containment.
My actions do not need to be explained.
You killed Raymond Ham, and then butchered him until he...
Not dead. No, not dead. He is cured.
Cured? Cured of what?
The pestilence, sir. I had thought you, at least, would realize what luck it is I detected it before.
What pestilence? You keep going on and on about this pestilence, but you have not once been able to properly identify this disease. What could you have possibly seen in him today that you had not seen so many times before, that it would be worth his life?
The pestilence presents and progresses in unforeseeable fashions, and has a queer way of creeping into the unprepared. And call it what you want, Doctor. It was a mercy I did to him. He is cured.
He is a vegetable.
I would not expect you to understand. You and your ilk have proven time and time again not to be men of science, but men of emotion. You cannot appreciate the horrors I have seen. Those many millions who have succumbed to the pestilence and been changed.
Your cure cost Ray his life.
No, good sir. I have saved it. You would allow this world to slip back into the despair of disease and death, ignoring that I have created a miracle. And
what disease? What pestilence? He was a healthy man. He was a good doctor.
I'm offering it freely to the afflicted. You are not worth this argument, sir. You are short-sighted and foolish. Dr. Ham was sick, and I cured him. I am the only one who can do this. My work must continue. There is still so much to learn, so much.
I've had enough of this.
And
consider your allowances revoked.
Saved. Even you.
Welcome to containment, 049.
Might be saved.
We're done here.
I can save them all. I can cast down this plague once and for all. I can do this. Only me. I saved him. Dr. Ham. I cured him. He was sick. I know he was sick. I know he was. And you are all sick, but I can save you. I can save all of you, because I am the cure.
Addendum 4. Post-incident report interview. The following interview was excerpt from 4/16/17, 049 incident report. The interview was conducted by Dr. Elijah Itzkin and took place 3 weeks after the start of the initial investigation.
SCP-049, we are conducting this interview to close out our investigation of your actions taken on April 16th that resulted in the death of a staff member. Do you have any comments to make?
Only that I look forward to the day when you will allow me to resume my work. I have spent the last few weeks compiling my notes and constructing a new theory for how the pestilence was able to infect someone in such an insidious manner that I nearly couldn't detect it.
Have you experienced any remorse for your actions? For the death of Dr. Ham?
Ah, yes. Well, the death of a colleague is always regrettable. But in the face of the pestilence, we must be swift, Doctor, and act without hesitation.
Dr. Sherman noted in his report that you seemed to be mournful during your initial interview.
Mourn? Perhaps. I had not thought that. It is lamentable that a fellow doctor became infected. But the work continues. Regrettable as it was, Dr. Ham's death provided important insight. Living human subjects are the only way to proceed forward, I am decided. My cure is of little use on dead flesh, and I have gleaned all I can from your generous supply of corpses. My desires turn towards tending to those still living who suffer from the disease.
I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed.
Oh, Doctor. I wouldn't be so sure.
Let's see if that is classified. Ooh. Let's read the footnotes first. Footnotes. The robes and gloves are identical to a thick hide built up in the skin, while the mask is composed kind of chitin and growing out of the bone of the face. The entity claims to have Originated in 15th century France, though admits it is particularly well traveled. See if that's classified. Placed within the bag, it seems anomalously large, as SCP-049 has been observed pulling objects larger than the bag itself from within it in order to operate on deceased subjects. SCP-047 has stated that its desire to work on human subjects several times between the occasion earlier provisions to the orangutan, noting its discontentedness when they would not be provided. SCP-047 has expressed it does not require sustenance, but enjoys it and feels the food helps put it in the right mind to operate. SCP-049 added to its statement by saying this, of course, elementary knowledge for a practical physician. I would have thought that you will have learned this during your education. Notably, SCP-047's journals are not written in any known language, and attempts linguists and code breakers to decipher them have been unsuccessful. Let's see, going home. He felt it, the unmistakable sensation of the pestilence. It was impossibly small, but unimaginably intense, like a needle in his eye. It was faint but pungent, and although the disease had been festered and undisturbed in containment for so long as its miasma had built and wafted out, enough for him to taste in scant particles of tainted air. He lost track of time in his cell. Doctors had used to come and bring him specimens to study, to perfect his methods. That had ended long, long ago. The doctors had realized they themselves weren't free from the disease. Still, after that, they had still checked on him. The voice that would come out of his walls and ask for him questions about what he was doing now, what he was feeling. Or if he had any regrets for what he'd done. Regrets. The thought was as foolish as he'd ever thought. Still, not that too had faded in time. The voices long ago had stopped. He had been content to rest in his pristine cell, away from the wretched disease, alone with his thoughts, in constant soft white light that bathed in his cell. The doctor reclined himself to a comfortable mattress. Eventually, perhaps he would have stopped thinking. But that would have been before that familiar, detestable presence had returned, burning into his mind. He found himself standing before the door still, studying it. It had no handle, open with captors ordered it. While the lights had remained functional, the electromagnetic lock had not. His bag contained steel tools, but he had not understood how to relent. He took a tremendous amount of doing, but it was open a crack, wide enough for his weight into it, to put his weight into it. He didn't know how long it had taken to width for enough to pass through. He didn't really register the passage of time anymore. Then he was in the hall, well lit and devoid of any other life, all the easier to navigate. While the stringing sensation of the disease navigating to the corridors through each drawn up a floor plan, the lights were all functional, all the other containment chambers still sealed. At least he found it, behind the unlocked door within a locked metal locker. Its containment cell door had been made much sterner stuff. In short order, the lay twisted of his feet. He pulled a rectangular metal box from his locker, studying it intensely. His fingers found a button, pressed it. The box's lid swung open. Supercooled preservative gases mingled in the air outside of the box the first time in a very long, long time. He might as well have been struck in the face. Vapor colder than ice wafted into the great cloud from the unsealed box, and he dropped on the floor with a clatter, which echoed throughout the silent facility. He steeled himself, kneeling down, lifting the face-down box aside, and gingerly plucked the tiny black speck from underneath his index finger and thumb. Behind his mask, he grit his teeth and held the mosquito up to his eye. It wasn't the insect. It was the sack of blood within the creature that had gorged on. The upturned metal box became his operating table. Black bags slamming unceremoniously into the ground. His hands dove into drawing to an empty brass syringe and a vial of thick black fluid. Beetle plunged through the cork stopper, filling the glass cylinder halfway through to a vicious peak. The needle withdrew, within piercing the engorged mosquito body, withdrawing the plagued blood within it to mix the black medicine in a syringe. He left the insect dry husk into the box, bringing the syringe level to his eye. He shook it, tapping the glass with his finger to encourage the reaction. He considered the dead husk of the insect still before it. It would not do it and let any lingering trace of the pestilence remain in the poor creature. When he was satisfied with the mixture, the needle of the insect's blood sank in, filling with tiny but the cold black mixture. The dead insect's body twitched and jerked to life. The black fluid filled with it. The body's movement built up into electrocharge enough for the reboot the silicone microprocessors of the bug's brain. Leslie's eyes were the first organ she remembered how to interrupt. She, She would have been in the living room. That's where she'd gone. But that wasn't Meryl's room. The blurred figure she was, I couldn't be Meryl. Who's there? She weakly asked at length. The clarifying black blur shuffled, coming more clearly into focus. Where is Meryl? There's no one here but you and me. The black form shifted and came closer until there filled Leslie's vision. She met out of the icy gray eyes observing her. Oh God, where am I? You're a prisoner, who the warden's teams have left. Prison. You are in a prison. A prison. Leslie staggered around on her 6 legs, wings slowly returning to life, to beat weakly. What kind of prison? Her voice cut off as her GPS tracker cut on. Oh God, I'm at Site 19. That is what this place is called. Odd. After all this time that I would learn the prison's name from Mosquito. I need to get back to Meryl. I don't know who Meryl is. I know where he lives, I can find it. The weight of the situation began to dawn on her. She was several hundred miles away from Meryl's house in the middle of Site 19 with an anomalous she knew nothing about. Still, at least it wasn't some monster trying to kill her. I don't know how I could ever get out of here. Doctor stood up, brought one hand to the curl closely before his eyes. I've gotten myself this far, and now that I have no further reason to stay here. Then you'll help me get out of here. Leslie's wings bore her to land in the black left hand. I will. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. Leslie gathered herself, ceasing her trembling. My name is Leslie. Thank you. Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. The wind blasted the landscape mercilessly, and it every day. At least today there was no astringent rain. Sick gray-black clouds rolled overhead. The pair had walked through nearly a week and had not yet encountered a single living person. Few animals had been seen through sick, mangly things. Leslie felt the sky weigh down on her dark gray iron blanket. She was having a hard time remembering what the sun looked like. She was afraid she might start to forget what Meryl's face. We're close, she said, to break the monotony. Just a few more miles, and then she never finished the thought. The sound of the doctor's feet crunching through the parched landscape, barely audible over the rush of wind. And then, we're alive, he finished for her. Tell me, Doctor, why did you come all this way with me? Could have left when we got out, gone your own way. Merely because I wanted to. Thank you, Doctor. Leslie didn't know what to do when they arrived at Meryl's house. The barren streets howled with the wind, but Leslie could only hear the walls of damnation. The lights were off, the door hung open. No one had been here in decades. They went inside. The living room would have made her wretch. If she were physically able to, Meryl wasn't here. How long, Leslie asked, as they stood in silence in the room where she had died. The question wasn't directed to her companion. She checked the cloth in her internal positioning system. How long, he repeated, unsure. 200. I've been dead for 200 years, she wailed, collapsing on the palm of the doctor's hands. Then Meryl is dead. So it appears. Everyone is dead, she said, seeming able to grasp the finale of the fact. Everyone and Meryl. And Meryl, she repeated to herself till the words lost meaning to her. The doctor sat on the frayed red carpet, resting on his back against the wall in which Leslie mourned. Held out before, he asked, where will you go now? I lived here. He lived here. So now I will live here. It will be just like it was. She couldn't continue and fell to her side against the rough but comforting leather. She had no tears, but her sobs wrecked her nonetheless. Any minute Meryl will come through the door. Then I'll wait for here with you. Jesus. Fucking, I'll be back.
Mic off. Mic on.
Okay. Fuck. Excerpts from the medical tragedy of Dr. Bartholomew Arts, author unknown. Art Primus Scene Secundus, an office in Berlin, and to the Dr. Bartholomew Arts. Doctor, alack, plague is too common in this time, and skin is festered as it festers, boiled and young babies die, mouths mowing, caked in crime. Candaces in this world all spoiled by winter some say this world will be gone. Ye elders, gods of Greece, guide my wise way. Hermes, kind runner, see my will is done. Deliver unto Zeus, as I shall pray. Bestow upon me healthy magic staves. The holy spice within them shall save life, and with them fill this world's diseased caves. They hold the thing and all the world's strife. My gods, end this horrible disease. If I had that chance, in instances I'd seize. Enter Facade. Lord Doctor. Ah, young Facade, young beautiful Facade, thy face unmarked by treacherous pus, returned from Italian lands, what tidings dost thou bring? Venice has been taken by boils, spices have been scattered, doors have been crossed, and all their holds twice crossed. Methinks a threshold twice crossed makes for a poor barrier. Indeed, my lord, tell me, what are the children? Babies and monsters in all kinds lay in the street, cling to the corpses as they expire. Some in and cling there thrown to flames. O Lord! Some in Venice are saying that the Lord has forsaken us, and that we are now the whims of some fey creatures. Some poison the wells, so that fewer suffer. He coughs. What is this cough? It is not, my lord, some choke. Facade, show me thine underarm. Nay, my lord, I cannot. I command thee, show me at once, or be dismissed. I beg of you, my lord, you shall be mad, and I say that madness will aud me if thou dost not show me thine underarm. Facade lifts his shirt. Oh, young Facade, thou hast the pox. I have twice crossed their threshold. You as good as it now, Lord Doctor. Facade, why? I simply wanted you to see me once more, before I became into a corpse. He draws a knife. And thus, Lord, I say, Facade, desist. Adieu to the long dying world, adieu to this disease. He stabs himself. Mary, forgive me. Forgive me. He dies. Oh, what a fright this is! Oh, putrid this plague! How rank this disease that touches me! My heart it weakens. Oh, cruel fate! Cruel, cruel fate! I feel the boils upon my heart. From thy bosom I shall wrest thy knife, and plunge it into the heart of the black plague itself. Act Secondus. Scene Tertius. A hill in the dark forest. Enter the doctor and the Anticus with spades. Anticus. Soft, Herr Doctor. We have arrived. Doctor. What is the stamped place? This was once a fey hill. The fair folk gathered here to partake in merriment in some endless lust-filled nights with human companions, and devour them in the morn. Wherefore hast thou brought me to such a pagan place? We could hardly mount such an expedition in the city, my lord. But a fair hill? A hill simply looks fair, my lord. Inside of it there is tunnels and innumerable caves infinite, where the fair folk capered nimbly, making love and alluring foolish men and women into their orgiastic deaths. But where have they been brought? I mean to stop the plague, not find a wife. Stand at the hilltop and crow as a hen does not eat in a seed. Do this thrice, and thy way shall be broad, my lord. So be it. He walks in the hilltop. Pops, pops, pop, pox, pox, pox. Exit Anticus, enters Pox. O Lord, where art thou? Pox, why I am the thing thou hast summoned. I am Pox, a simple goblin. Thou hast summoned me, as I shall grant thee one wish, and one wish alone. There is a plague upon this world. Aye, it is known the plague has been present since creation. Since creation, indeed. Then I must cure it. At once I wish to be the doctor that cures this horrid plague, and save the earth and once and for all. A noble endeavor, indeed. Now, firstly, take a doctor's wooden mask and bathe in argent supply. Melt it soft. This is the next part of this great noble task. This phrase say thrice, whilst holding it aloft. A midwife and the blood-red cursed king, a pagan horrible creatures of Longye, My pleas be heard the audible Gigorus I sing and bestow to my knowledge and elder lore. One fill the beak with medical spices, carntations, roses, mint, cherry, and a sponge, loaf of gold for a life, saved with mice of vice. The mask is done, all toxins are expunged, and so the enchanted continue. This spell shall send a great plague straight into the black hell. Shall be done, marry this pagan cursed rite, shall be done, for the love of God. Yes, for the love of God. God be we. Exit box. It shall be done. I shall retrieve the mask and the spices, and my cure will be the most efficient. Poor foolish doctor. He had a great humor about him, all fair and balanced till his facade is taken away. 'Tis a pity. 'Tis for his sake. Come, Sir Aquitus, let us follow him to the way. I wish to be present when the doctor cures his first patient. Exeunt. Acts Tertius. Scene Secundus. Deathbed of Herr Arnold Bode during storm. Enter Bode, his wife, you, their servant, Disco. Bode, I feel God close to me. I fear I join him in the sight, and if I do, I fear it will not be heaven. Evil. I have sent for a doctor, my love. Thou shalt not suffer. Bode coughs. Love, pray thyself to the bed. Driscoll. Let you end your life as you began it, Lord, swaddled in bedcloth, surrounded by loved ones and servants. Bode. It is not my time. It cannot be my time. Loud rapping his head. Who calls for this, in such a tempest? Yibble. It is the doctor, most likely. Driscoll, prithee fetch him. Driscoll sighed. She has carved me for many nights, and it is only that she is saying it that I have referenced the fetching. Oh, what a life. Exit Driscoll. Re-enter the doctor. Evil and bold, ye gods. Bold, thine appearance is most striking, Lord Doctor. Doctor, I pray thee be not afraid. This is simple my garb. I assure thee, beneath this cloak I am as human as thou art. Who is ailed? Bode, I am, thou Lord Doctor. Doctor, then let the surgery commence. To Yevil and Driscoll. Pray leave us. The doctor must work alone. Yevil, I must protect. He is my husband, and I shall not leave his side should he die. Doctor, he will not die, madam, but I pray thee we shall leave. For those processes scarring, both the mind and the body. Exit Doctor and Bode. Evil. So we are alone. Driscoll, I. Evil. Now that Herr body may die, perhaps they may be able to. Cries heard. What was that? Enter housemaid panicked. Housemaid. Monster. A monster in Herr Bode's room. He is pecking out his eyes, through them humor was being extracted. He saw the monster drink his blood, consume his vicious humor, smear black bile all over him. Driscoll. Surely thou art mistaken. Dr. Barth is no monster. He's a simple man. Housemaid. That is unlike any doctor I have ever seen. Enter Doctor. See, he comes. Doctor. He has been cured. Come hither, Herr Bode. Enter Bode, blood over front, mask on face, and exit housemaid crying out. Evil, oh dear. Driscoll. What is the meaning of this? Bode, fear not, loved ones. I have been cured of the plague. This cure shall be spread to you as well. Driscoll draws a dagger and attacks Bode. Driscoll. Die, abomination. They fight. Driscoll is struck down, mask which, like the doctor's, is forced upon his face. Evil, O Lord. Driscoll the doctor Bode. Come, our cure is the most effective. Exit Evil will persuade with Driscoll, Doctor, and Bode. Act Tritus. Scene Tritus. Away between worlds. Enter Pox and Antics. Pox, singing, oh, the plague of the dead and gone, the plague is cured and done. Some humans will have been overrun, the plague is dead and gone. Tigus, indeed, Lodi Pox, it is done. Man's last hour is now, not even a Badon could accomplish this. He and all his demons fit in hell, seeing that the fire folk have wrought. Pox, it is not that who shall rot. Come, let us watch from future-facing window. Exit. Act Corticus Scene Premise. Guardhouse in Berlin. Enter Grossman and Parched Men. Two guards pursued by the abomination. Grossman. Back, swine, back. He thrusts a sword to the abomination. They fight. Abomination falls. Parchment. What foul creature are those? Grossman. I know not, friend, but I fear that they could be the end times. The dead walk, their eyes eaten, their humors drained. Parchment. I was in good humor until a while ago. Grossman, what happened? Grothman, I soiled myself whilst we were chased. Grossman, these are hydrated, they are. Rothman. Hydrated how? Grossman. When one dies, 2 more rise from their place. When 2 die, they come 4 more. When 24 score rise. Rothman. Fetch the guns, for the love of God, fetch the guns. Grossman. I do not believe we can hold out against the entity of the Berlin town with simple guns. Rothman. All we require is 2 bullets. 1 for each of our mouths, then. Abomination rise. Grossman. Oh, get back. Parkman, fetch the rifles. Exit Grossman, Parkman pursued by abominations. Act quarters, scene Tertius, the doctor's office. Enter the doctor. Doctor, oh, despite us all, I am deceived. The fair folk were not. Nay, the fair folk, these blasted things, they said there was a cure for this plague. Enter Pox. It was a cure for the plague, Herr Doctor. Plague of humanity. Far too long thy kind was impugned upon this world, horrors of all kinds, and now they are at the death of humanity. The doctor, I am a healer, not the false shepherd. Thou art the best shepherd we could have asked for, Doctor. Now the world returns to the fay, and nature shall once more bloom. We thank thee. Nay, I say. Doctor draws a lace and attacks Pox. She falls. Fool, we created thee. Thou shalt end humanity. Dies. God above, the devil below, forgive me. I am witnessing the true, final end times, tempted by a fey wretch, which I let live. I must make myself repent for my crimes. He stabs himself. Let the send of my blood spilt upon the stones of Berlin. Furthermore, this plague be done. Dies. Enter abominations. Several, who carry corpse out. Fin. Death and Doctor's Hub. Death is not the greatest evils. Rather, it is a wish to die when one cannot. Sufgoals. In the beginning there was death, then and forever after. It's creation's most ancient of beings that were very things the brothers' deaths do not entirely understand. Oddly enough, one thing are their own creations, born from the mass grave in time of the plague. The children of the borrow forever owe their allegiance to death. They who give them life, born from conflict and the conflict, the children of the borrow seek, always to create a world without it, a world where they would no longer be needed. Born with skill in medicine and healing, the children of the borrow name themselves plague doctors, name fitting for more than one reason. For each plague they cure, another brought forth from their existence. Children of the borrow only wish to heal, but the borrow's death may have other plans for them as well. As does life. Maryland Tales, written by D. Matrix. I will finish this another time because this is a very large amount of reading.